Hey, it's Mel from the Herbalist Path, and I have a quick question for you. Have you ever made your herbal remedies, and then when you went to taste them, you were like, oh man, there is no way in heck that my kids are going to take this because it's straight nasty and they've got really picky taste buds? If you have been there, then I'm kind of glad because it means I'm not all alone. But I also want to let you know that there's totally a way you can make your herbal blends so that they not only work really, really well, but they also taste great and your kiddos are going to love them. So I'm hosting a free class. It's all about how to make your herbal remedies so they actually work and your kiddos will practically beg you for more. It's a class where science meets happy-fied taste buds, because if your taste buds aren't happy, nobody's happy. And then the herbs aren't going to work, because when the herbs are gross to your kids, I don't know about you, but have you ever had the challenge of getting them to take it anyways? Pretty much impossible for my daughter. Anyways, if you are ready to take your herbal remedy game to the next level, join me for the class. I'm going to drop links to it in the show notes here. And then when you get registered, you're also going to be joining my new Herbalist Path community, which is a group of herb moms on this journey with you. So that way we can make herbalism not just a mom thing, but a whole family thing. And ultimately, we make herbalism spread like wildflowers. So go ahead and click the link in the show notes, get yourself registered, and I will see you inside the Herbalist Path community soon. Hello and welcome to the Herbalist Path, a podcast where you'll discover how to make your own herbal remedies at home so that you can take better care of yourself, better care of your family, and better care of our planet. I'm Mel. I'm a clinical herbalist, environmental educator, and mountain living mama with this crazy passion for teaching more mamas and their little loves how to use plants as medicine in a safe, effective, and tasty way so that there can be an herbalist in every home. Again, it's an absolute honor to have you on the journey down the herbalist path with me so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers.
Hi, Mary.
Oh, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Oh, good. Wait, I'm not started. There. Hey. I'm like, wait a minute. Where'd I go?
I think I'm supposed to be in there.
How are you doing? Oh, it's good talking to you again. I'm doing okay. I feel like I'm running off on the races. You know, I've taken off and just got back from Ireland.
Ooh, lovely.
Yes, that was wonderful. And had a granddaughter while I was over there.
Oh, how exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and just been like hitting the road and running, basically, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't even have my vegetable garden planted yet. So I had all the beds cleared out, you know, before we left. And when I came back, little did I know it was almost raining every day and like warm. So everything just grew back. So I got to start over. But
we just did stuff in our garden yesterday, but living in Oregon, like if we do it any earlier than that, it's a wash. So
yeah.
Hopefully everything does its thing as magically and lovely as it's supposed to.
Oh,
yeah, I bet you're bonkers with the whole release of a new book and everything.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I've been doing some book signings. And
how's it going?
It's going well. Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we'll definitely be talking about your book. Are there any other particular things you want me to organically bring up throughout our conversation?
You know, one of those, I think you brought up in one of your questions, you know, is like anything else you'd like to add, just that with the book, there's a new website that I have. It's called herbalistmentor.com. I still have my ancestralherbology.com, but that's more for like the consultations and events. Mm-hmm. The herbalistmentor.com is training, resources, and mentorship. So it mentions that in the book. And I do have a free membership that anybody can join. And so far, I've got like 4 different PowerPoint presentations on there that are completely free for them to listen to. Eventually, I will have demonstration videos on all of the exercises in the book. And that's just for, the visual learners.
Yep. It's so important to hit all those teaching points for sure.
So I'm planning on expanding on that website. I just haven't gotten a chance to.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be fun to chat about for sure. And just so you know, like those questions are just kind of a guideline. We really just have a very casual conversation. So I will I'm sorry.
Just making sure I have enough lighting for you.
Yeah, you look fine. Fantastic. Okay. And I rarely get these actually out on YouTube. I have not published a YouTube video in almost 2 years. So,
okay.
So there's that. We just have it recorded for Justin's case. That's what I like to say with Justin, just in case. So we'll see. I'd love to get my YouTube back up and running, but I do too many things. So
it's more work. Yes.
I'm trying to stop doing too many things and too many things for free all of the time. Like, no, I put a lot of time and energy into what I do. And sure, I'm happy to offer free things. It's beautiful. I do that. That's okay. But also,
TikTok is taking up a lot of time. I haven't been able to keep up on that.
Yeah, I haven't really paid much attention to TikTok in a long time, it seems. But I did just get a new student who, I was like, where'd you find me from? Because she wasn't in my email system, and she found me from TikTok. And I'm like,
well, there you go.
Right, TikTok. That's where a lot of my students come from. But I just repurpose my content all across the board. Like if I make a video, but I have to be in that inspiration mode, and I've got so much freaking content, but to post it, that's at least an hour of my day every day.
Absolutely. And that's where I'm at. It's just thinking up something else to put up there. And on top of I'm writing for Plant Healer magazine and my own writing projects. And, I'm teaching 4 different herbal conferences because of the book, and I was exciting. Just like, there's so much to prepare for. And
it's easy to overwhelm ourselves in this world. That's kind of what I'm working on this year, and I'm terrible at it. But my mantra for the year at the beginning of the year was peace, simplicity, and ease. And
nice.
Well, nice when it actually comes to fruition.
But it's nice when you get it.
Yeah. I started the year with a summit, and then a week before the summit, I got COVID. So I got to host this live summit where I was talking live 2 to 3, 4 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
With COVID aftermath. So that was rough. But I love the process of putting together a summit, and I loved connecting with everybody. I look forward to doing another one with my immune system being on high alert that it's not time to get COVID.
Yeah, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fantastically.
Perfect.
So let's dive into it if you're ready. Are you? Okay, great. Hello, and welcome back for another excellent episode on the Herbalist Path. I'm really, really excited for the guest I get to bring to you today. She is a mama and a brand new grandmama. It's Mary Colvin. She's also a clinical herbalist and owner of Ancestral Herbology. She's registered as an herbalist with the American Herbalist Guild. She's a member of the American Botanical Council and United Plant Savers, which are all such really important organizations. I highly encourage you to check all of them out. She's certified in nutritional therapy, which is fantastic because if you're not taking care of what you're eating on a regular basis, the herbs are going to have a really tough time doing the magic that they really can for you. So I love that she brings that into play along with our mental health. So Mary has so much to talk about. She's also the author of a brand new book, The Herbalist Guide, How to Build and Use Your Own Apothecary, which I'm sure we're going to chat about in this conversation today. So I am beyond excited and honored to have you here, Mary. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Mel. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I must say that I forgot that you're also the host of Herbology Talk podcast, which I've been a guest on. So it's great to have you on my show as well. So yeah.
Reciprocation. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way the beautiful herbal world goes round and round. It's really nice. Mary, you've done so much in the world of herbal medicine. I'm so curious, what brought you to this world of herbal medicine? How did that happen?
Hey, I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. I love this time of year. It's spring, the sun is shining, and all of our beautiful plant friends are popping up. It's amazing. Unless, of course, you're one of the millions of people who suffer from seasonal allergies. You know, the itchy, watery eyes, the sneezing and wheezing that's straight miserable. Thankfully, there are some amazing herbs that can help you with all of that. Just like the herbs inside of Kick-Ass Allergy from Wish Garden Herbs, one of my absolute favorite herbal companies out there. Kick-Ass Allergy, yes, I said ask without the K at the end. Anyways, this formula has yerba santa, nettles, echinacea for that immune support, and orange peels, all which come together to help dry up those excessive mucosal secretions. Yep, I'm talking about the sniffles and the stuffy nose, the watery eyes, and all that jazz. This blend also acts as a great expectorant and can help ease the swelling and inflammation in those mucosal tissues. It is a top go-to for seasonal allergies. And get this, they combine all those beautiful herbs with glycerin, so it actually tastes pretty darn good. Or should I say, it tastes kick-ass, without the K at the end. Anyways, if allergy season is miserable for you and you want a natural remedy that actually works for those itchy eyes and being all sneezy and wheezy, you have got to check out Wish Garden Herbs Kick-Ass Allergy. And for those of you with the little kiddos, no sweat, they've got a kick-it allergy too. And you pregnant mamas? You don't have to suffer either. They've got a kick-ass allergy formula just for you. So head over to wishgardenherbs.com or check out the link in the show notes and go grab yourself some kick-ass allergy so you can enjoy spring again.
Well, I think the plants called to me at an early age to begin with. I've been a gardener probably all my life. You know, my grandparents started teaching me, and I went to college for floral design and marketing. Originally, I wanted to go to be a horticulturist or a botanist, but the funds just wasn't there financially. And I took a technical, like a 2-year school at Ohio State University. It's the Agricultural Technical Institute. Went there, and I love anything to do with plants. But as I got out, and marriage and children, and you get busy, and I didn't really have a whole lot of time at that time to sit down and study. But basically, my body made me. When I had some serious back issues. And I was probably 36 years old, and it was debilitating. You couldn't, and sciatica, and you couldn't move around or sit. And ended up, I did everything the doctors wanted me to do, and the insurance, of course. And I ended up having to have surgery called a laminectomy, because I had herniated disc and degenerative disc. So they went in and shaved the disc, because that is what was pushing on the sciatic nerve. And the sciatic nerve pain was relieved, but I was still in pain. And I was just beside myself, because I was like, I just want to feel good, and I just want to, move around, and I have children to raise. And finally I went to the pain specialist because I was still in pain after that surgery. And he said that because they cut into my fascia, that's where my pain was coming from. And of course, they've been learning more about fascia and all the nerve endings, that come with it too. So he says I would be in pain the rest of my life. And I just didn't want to accept it. I just told him, no, I'm not going to be in pain the rest of my life. And I don't want to take your pharmaceutical medications anymore, because I was on Vicodin before the surgery for a long time. And then they switched it to, I can't remember what the name of it, tamoxifen. Is that the one? That they switched it to? And they're like, oh, it's non-addictive. And now they found out, it's addictive. But at the time when it first came out, that's why everybody was switching over to it. But I didn't want to cover the pain anymore. I just wanted to fix it. And I don't know what made me think of plants again, but I was just like, I'm going home, I'm looking for a course, and I'm starting today.
Yeah.
And at that time, there really wasn't a whole lot of online schools. And I'm in Ohio. There wasn't a lot of physical schools here either. And I couldn't find anybody, and Facebook was just getting started, but I couldn't find anybody in the area that I can learn from either. So I found the School of Natural Healing with Dr. Christopher. And that was the only course at that time that allowed you to purchase one class at a time also. Because, as a young family, finances was a little difficult too.
Right.
So I was able to purchase a class at a time, and it was a 2-year course. And by that time at the end, I had to go there to Springfield, Utah, and for a week and do the certification. And we made it a trip with the whole family,
Yeah.
around to the Grand Canyon and up to Utah and then Yellowstone. And so by then I was certified. And I had my diploma there, and I just didn't feel like I knew. I didn't feel complete. I didn't feel like the knowledge was complete. I'll put it down.
Is it ever in herbalism?
Yeah. But more so, they really didn't talk much about energetics there. It wasn't a school that was big into talking about clinical herbalism, or, they didn't go further. Dr. Christopher was a naturopathic doctor.
Right.
And he was fantastic. But so I needed to find more information and get more schooling. So I just went from there, and I call it an eclectic education.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when we're learning from the historical uses of the eclectic physicians, it really makes sense.
Absolutely.
As such.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that might be common with herbal knowledge addicts. I'm going to call that self-proclaimed herbal knowledge addict right here. Is we start getting into it, and then we're like, whoa, what a big, amazing world this is, and how much there is to learn about it.
Overwhelming.
Right? Not even just the herbs, but the human body. The better you know about the human body, the better you are able to use herbs, right? I think that's really great. So what did you do once you realized okay, this Dr. Christopher's has really planted the seed for this journey? Where did you go next? What did you do?
Well, during that course period, we were playing around with formulations, and I developed a couple formulas that actually benefited myself. So all that back pain, all the muscle spasming, and, I used some cell proliferants to help in the repair of the tissue. And I'm no longer in pain. So it's not like an everyday 24 hours. Now, if I overdo it, obviously, I could feel some pain, but who can't?
You're still human.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 53 years old, but I just, I had that. And then after I did that 2-year course, I looked at different herbal conferences. And that's because I found there were some in New England, and that's where I went, the New England Women's Herbal Conference. The first time I took a friend of mine, and that's where I met Margie Flint. And she ended up becoming very influential in my training. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, there's something magical about herb conferences, and I am currently feeling a great need to have some more herb conferences. Like, what a wonderful way to not only like increase your knowledge, but really it's all about that connection with incredible people that have this common bond and love and calling from the plants, love for the plants. It's really a magical experience, and I need one.
And I think that's the first place where I found that connection. And I love how Jesse Wolf Hardin called it his tribe. And, that's how I felt. I'm like, I'm not alone in my feeling about plants. These are my people.
Yeah, my people. Exactly.
These are my people. And it was great. And then I could find, you're introduced to other herbalists and you find other avenues of training. You find new classes, and it's just an experience.
It is. It's an ongoing experience. I think there's so much value in learning from so many different people and different plants, because the plants will also be your teacher, not just the people. So yeah, I think that for me, that's been one of the greatest benefits of my life. Like when I was going through more formal studies, I just say the more formal studies because it's always learning, right?
Right.
But I was really, really blessed to have so many different teachers to come about and share what they were a real fantastic expert in the field of herbal medicine, because it's big and it's wide and it's exciting. And that is so much fun. So today, now you practice herbal medicine with people as a clinical herbalist. How is that for you in life?
I love it. I feel like I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on. It's one of those things that you just know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I know that as I've gone along, I'm helping my clients, but I'm also wanting to help students. And, I'm kind of expanding in that area also. But I've been doing clinical herbalism since about 2012, I think. Yeah. And I became a registered herbalist with the American Herbalist Guild in 2018. Yay. So really, from the time I started learning herbs to the time that I actually applied, it was like a good 10 years.
Right. Yeah. I have still not registered Herbalist Guild. I went on the path of running a product line for quite a long time and still helped people and ran an apothecary and all of that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I just didn't have the time or the desire to do that.
I do want to say that you don't have to, it's nothing that's necessary in order to be a good clinical herbalist.
I know.
Personally, I chose to do that because I wanted to have my clients feel like I had that certification, so to speak,
Absolutely.
And it's something that they could physically look up, see the definition, what kind of training they're needing. And that's why I did it, because there's no licensing. And I did that to make my clients feel more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that 110,000%. Can you explain to our listeners, a lot of people don't quite grasp what a clinical herbalist does. How is that different from other herbalists?
Well, there's so many different aspects you can get into in herbalism. You can be the grower, you have a shop and sell products. You can just go out there and take care of your own family and friends, just wanting to garden it and make some products for yourself. Myself, because I met Margie and she wrote the book, The Practicing Herbalist. So that's where I got into it. And she had a class, like a 1-week class with Matthew Wood and Kay Parent. And we sat down at their feet basically. And it's all about being there for the clients. So you have to study a lot more, in courses than just herbs and their benefits. You're looking at anatomy and physiology. I went to the nutrition aspects also because I wanted to understand the nutritional and how it affects the body and disease. And then you look at, assessment skills. There's so many different things. You got to have clinical training and mentorship and, have so many hours. But there's so much more. And I do have, I taught a class called Navigating the Study of Herbalism.
Mm.
And it was all about the direction, the type of courses you need. And then I expand on clinical herbalism too, and talk about the different courses that you can use there. I think that was on the American Herbalist Guild. If you are a member of the American Herbalist Guild, you can see that there. The other place you can see it is my other website, and we'll talk about that later, but it's herbalistmentor.com. So.
Yeah. So if somebody were listening right now and really wanted to work with a clinical herbalist to help get through whatever, I mean, this is kind of like what a clinical herbalist does is helps you get over whatever chronic ailments you may have, or also just feel healthier, more vibrant and alive. If somebody were to want to work with you in that realm, one, what areas of specialty do you love to work in? And two, how can they get in touch with you in that realm?
I really love the nervous system and digestive system, and I work with women's health. So as a clinical herbalist, we work with the health situations of our clients. And there's many different reasons why somebody would want to come see a clinical herbalist. We do work in conjunction with the medical field. Not necessarily does the medical field like to work with us, but that's not always the case. But we can read, I read blood work, lab reports. And so every clinical herbalist is different in some of what they can specialize in. But I personally love reading the CBC and all the different labs. And I've been studying up more on understanding the patterns within them.
Yeah, there's a lot of pattern understanding, and there's so much that goes to it. So if somebody is listening and wants to work with you, how can they?
They can go to ancestralherbology.com, and there's a contact tab on there. And there's also one about consultations and explains my price and what's involved.
Awesome. That sounds good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So before we started recording for this podcast episode, you had told me about something very, very exciting. You were in Ireland recently, and you have a new grandbaby. So this podcast is really for moms who are curious about using herbs, and of course, grandmoms, because they're the grandest of them all, right?
Yes.
So I just love for you to just share a little bit of your journey as a mom using herbs with your family and how that has gone. And then we'll talk a little bit about this precious grandbaby too.
Sure. So my children were younger when I first started taking the courses, and immediately they were my guinea pigs. I mean, anytime they got sick, I was giving them all my different concoctions and brews, and but they did not have to go to the doctor often. And I remember my daughter came home from school and she was sick, and we used some diaphoretic herbs and kind of worked with her immune system, and she was much better the next day. And her friends always said, "How come every time you get sick, you can come back to school the next day?" We're sick for days. We were sick with the same thing, and it was days. And she goes, "My mom would give me this tea." And she started telling them, what I would do. It was a joke with the kids, because there weren't a lot of parents at that time that were giving their kids herbs. But my children realized at a young age how beneficial the plants could be. And, did they always like all the taste? No. To this day, my son will not drink fire cider unless it is absolutely necessary.
And he can always find a workaround. So.
Oh boy, and then my other daughter, she says I spoiled her with garlic. So she doesn't even like the smell of garlic. No, she wasn't sick, and they got better. And I even had a doctor who dropped us because we weren't going once a year, or, we didn't. He wanted to see us more often, what it came down to. And when we didn't, they took us off their roster and we were no longer their patient.
Sorry, goodbye.
Yeah, it didn't hurt my feelings, I think.
I don't want you to have any independence or empowerment in your family's health.
Yeah. And that's a great word, empowerment. And that is something that I want every household to have an herbalist, because it is empowering to be able to take control of your own health. And so I love that word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect word for it. It really is. And we do need an herbalist in every home. Again, is kind of what I love to say on this show. That's the whole mission, because for reasons just like that, you're getting dropped from your doctor because you don't go enough. I was really
I'm not
fortunate.
sick enough, I guess.
Right? I was really fortunate. I remember one time my daughter was about 2, and it was her first time like getting sick. And I was like, she was my only child. And I'm like, should I be freaking out about this? Okay, I'll freak out for a second. And I call my doctor and tell the symptoms and things. And she was like, Mel, you know what to do. You don't need me. They knew I was like studying clinical herbalism at that time. And they knew what I was all about. Like they were also teachers at the naturopathic college and midwives. And they were magnificent. I still go to them. So it's awesome. Really nice. But yeah, it was something magical when I hung up that phone and I was like, she's right. I do know what to do. And I think just as you're new in that phase of motherhood, which are we always new in motherhood? I don't know, but mine's almost 11.
There's always a new situation.
Yes, absolutely. But I just remember a moment of panic and a moment of doubt. And then this like, oh, right. The plants. Have you ever had that happen, Mary, where you create an amazing formula or something like that, and it does the trick for you or for a client, and then you just kind of forget about it or maybe take it for granted, and then you come back later and you're like, oh, that's why that's amazing. That's why that works so well.
The plants amaze me all the time.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Even when you think you need this complex formula, just a simple herb, one herb can do the trick when needed. It's just, as long as you pick the right one, for you. But, as far as taking as a mom, I'm definitely not against doctors, because there is a time and a place for them. And some people think that because you're an herbalist or you're in clinical herbalist, you're totally against all doctors. And that's just not the case.
Right.
There's been many times my son has chopped his finger off, and, we have had to go to the emergency room, and, especially in emergency situations, they're fantastic. But there are situations where a doctor is needed. And, but a lot of the times as a mom, how many times do you run to the store to get something over the counter? How many times do you call the doctors or want to get a doctor's appointment because your kid has a temperature or sniffles? And, if you have the basic training on there and, just take steps and know what to do when your child gets sick, it's so empowering, to be able to help and see your child start feeling better because of what you've done to help them and what the plants have done to help them.
Yeah, it's the best feeling. And that's why we do need that herbalist in every home again. Like, you're right. Doctors do have a time and a place, but to have to go see them every single year, why?
No. Wow.
We all feel great. Everybody's thriving. Thanks.
To weigh them? Okay. Yeah.
Like, I've got a scale. We've got like the markers on the wall in the hallway. I know how tall they are.
Yeah.
So that's really, really funny. So now that you're a grandma, tell me your dreams for this beautiful grandchild of yours in relevance to the plant world and their future and the planet.
this is my second grandchild. So her sister is 2.5 years old. So I have a toddler running around after me, and I get to show her my garden. And
are they in Ohio as well?
Yes, they are. Yes, they're about 30 minutes from me. So not very far. And so I get to see them when they're not working. You know, or sometimes I'll just say, I'm going to pick her up from daycare. I'm taking her with me, you know, because Mama needs some time. So yeah, I just love she's at the curious stage now. So this is when I am introducing different things. I just bought her a little gardening kit too, with the little kids' gloves and the little hands and shovel. And I took her out last fall and showed her some, I was picking some autumn olive berries, and she saw me do that. It never dawned on me at that point in time to tell her, do not pick these or pick any berries without your grandmother next to you. Because the next time my daughter yelled at me because they were at another house and she saw some red berries. They didn't know what they were. And she started picking them because grandma was picking some. So I do have to be careful and make sure I explain to her that only with me. But yeah, it's so much fun. There's just so much joy, you know, grandchildren, period. But to have them, you know, be interested in what you're doing. That's exciting.
Absolutely. I don't know if I'll ever be a grandma. I sure hope at this moment that I will, but either way, I'll love my daughter no matter what she chooses. But I look forward to that. I think I have only one child. So it's like, that will be my, yay, I get to do it again. Kind of help out and also pass them back later.
Yeah, we were in Ireland for our 25th wedding anniversary, and we planned it a long time ago. So my daughter wasn't even pregnant, you know, when I had it planned. And then she came and told me she was pregnant. Her due date was, well, you guessed it, when we were in Ireland. So the doctor wouldn't take her C-section any sooner because she was a C-section baby. Right. And so was her sister. And yeah, I had to find out through FaceTime, you know, I was able to be there in the room, so to speak, you know, right after she was born. And she was a healthy 10 pounds, 6 ounces. And yeah, so
thank goodness for that cesarean in that time. That's great.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, she's a joy. And what's really crazy is one has blonde hair and the other is a brunette. So it's so
Isn't
fun.
it funny how that can work? Some of my daughter's best friends are two young boys who are just about 2 years apart from each other. And one is blonde hair, blue eyed, light skin. The other one's black hair, brown eyes, dark skin. And yeah, it's how it works. You know?
I just can't wait to see the different personalities because
that's the fun stuff.
That is what's fun. Yeah.
That's what I missed out on with having just one child. Like, I'd love to see the personality differences. I'm sure they'd be dramatic.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize that was.
It's okay. It happens. Well, that's fun and exciting and beautiful. Are you using any herbs or offering your daughter any herbs as she's going through her postpartum recovery time?
No, she chooses to follow what the doctors do right now. And, you know, that's a choice.
Right.
But she does know that she can come to me if something doesn't work or, you know, if, you know, she's nauseous, she definitely knows what to do. You know, she's been raised with these, so she knows what she can do, you know, but yeah, she'll come to me for supplies. That's for sure.
Love that. I love that. Yeah. Amazing. So let's talk about herbs. Let's talk about plants, baby.
Absolutely.
You've got one herb to pick, Mary.
That is unfair, Mel.
I know. You see the way I did it in such a challenging tone.
All right.
It's darn near impossible. We all know that.
Okay, if I could pick one.
And sometimes it depends on the day and what's happening in life.
So I have more than one favorite, but I'll just say in this time right now, violet. Violet is, I'm so in love with it. And I'm really hoping I have time, since I was in Ireland and I came back. I'm hoping I have time to pick some more right now. But yeah, there's so many different applications for violet.
I love that, especially being that you love working with the nervous system. I used violet in one of my teas when I ran my product line, and I rarely hear anybody talk about violet. So I'm excited to hear you talk about it.
Absolutely. I love making an oil with the violet, and I use the leaves and the flowers, and I dry them, and it's such a lovely display with the bluish purple flowers, that are dried in there. But I make a tincture. I make warm infusions with them, baths. I'll do obviously ointments if you're making the oils too, but I use it for so many different applications, and coughing, for the respiratory system. And it's cooling and moistening, and it's just nice and soothing, both with the nervous system and with irritated tissue. So it is anti-phlogistic or anti-inflammatory. So there's a lot of, it's a lymph herb. I love it as a lymph herb too. With hives, I've used it so many times. Somebody breaks out in hives or has a rash that's really itchy. I'll use that oil as well.
Nice. I love
and
that.
I do use flower essences with those also.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've used flower essences over the years, but I would definitely not consider myself an expert in that. I have a really dear friend, Dr. Orna Isaacson. She's a naturopath in Portland and also in Alaska. And she does a fantastic job teaching about flower essences. And I just love them. They're beautiful. And we've been using quite a few with my daughter. I'm curious about violet as a flower essence.
So I use the blue violet, and it helps to release anger and frustration. So I have a lot of people that maybe they had a trauma, from years ago, or a situation, they just can't let that anger go. And we all know that that can be damaging to our body as well. So I use the blue violet for that. And it just, it's very well-rounding, and it helps with strengthening the aura, I think, as well.
Nice. I really love how much magic and power plants have. It's incredible, when you hear about these things. Yeah, they're just so powerful and also gentle.
Yes.
And spiritual and beautiful. And I'd have to say that one other thing that I love about violet is its abundance.
Yes.
And I wonder if we can have a little chat, and maybe this, you don't want to go in this direction. So if we don't want to, we don't have to. But I think that's one of the things that needs to be talked about a lot throughout this world of herbal medicine. And as we do help create a world where there's an herbalist in every home again, just the respect and understanding and boundaries of plants and ones that are not particularly widely available versus ones that are, and how we can navigate that as we're sharing these beautiful things with the world.
Absolutely. And, in my book, and we'll talk about the book in a minute, I do talk about sustainability. I talk about the harvesting rules because it is so important. I once heard an herbalist say that they were teaching a class, and they did like an herb walk, and they pointed out this section of a plant. And when they went back, it was completely gone. Yeah. Decimated. Because if you don't talk to people about sustainability, about some of those harvesting rules, those are there not to irritate you. They're there to help and make sure that these plants are here for future generations. And so that is a real important aspect, which is why I love being a business member of the United Plant Savers.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
important. I love their whole mission. So for
Yeah,
those of you that are listening, United Plant Savers was actually founded by Rosemary Gladstar and is all about educating people and raising awareness of different plants that may be at risk or very vulnerable species to being over harvested and perhaps even no longer present on our precious planet. And we want to make sure that these plants are here for our kids and our grandbabies and great grandbabies, right? We need them
Absolutely.
around forever and ever. So sustainability is a huge thing. It's actually how I got into the world of herbal medicine, is because I wanted to save the planet. And
That is great.
I was like, oh, this is much better for the planet than all the junk that, we're told we need in the pharmaceutical industry and what have you. So just kind of how my path happened. But, you started to speak about how you talk about sustainability in your brand spanking new book. It's been released for 1 week as of the time we are recording this. And it's the Herbalist Guide, How to Build and Use Your Own Apothecary, which, can it get any easier on the title of what it's about? But I still want to hear what it's all about and what you got going on in there.
Originally, so I started it about 9 years ago because there's so many students came up to me and they said, hey, what books would you recommend for a beginner? And, usually you can't narrow it down to one book. You have to say multiple different books. And then they don't have the guidance, especially if they're studying at home. They are looking at all this information and it's so overwhelming. And you could start on one that, then it starts talking about another thing and you're confused and you got to go back to that. So I decided to write this book. It's like an at-home course, and it's really the foundational skills in herbalism. But I did it here. You're going to learn this section first. Here's an exercise to really fully understand what you just read. And then we can go on to the next section. And so there's exercises for hands-on training throughout. And if you complete all of the exercises, you have built your own apothecary. But not only have you built your own apothecary, you're going to understand and know how to use it safely and effectively. And, because there's a lot of herbal remedy books out there. They're great. They have great herbal remedies, but they're like cookbooks, and that's kind of what some of the publishers really wanted. But they're just, here, follow this directions to make this medicine. And of course, everybody wants to jump right into making the medicine. And I understand that, but you really need to know some of the basics first and know why those herbs are in there and who they're best used for and what situation. There's so much to learn about an herb. I have 35 herbs in the book. So with all of the herbal medicine in the apothecary, you're going to be working with those 35 herbs. Then there are also some other herbal remedies that I added in there for you to learn more about some other herbs maybe. But it's all about the individual who's reading and studying. I want them to understand how to research. I want them to be able to get trusted information. So I do have some research guidelines in there too. And even though I got about 2 pages for each of the 35 herbs in there, and it's just basically how I use these herbs. And, I talk about their taste and energetics, and I talk about, their medicinal actions, of course, and, what the taste, but also cooling or moistening or, all the energetics. So that's in there, but it's still going to take some time for the reader to do some more research on that herb. And I suggest that they do that before they work with that herb in that exercise. So they're going to get in the habit of doing their research and knowing where to get that information. And also there's a resource section in there. And then there's the help with my extra website that I have that I included in the book, and it's called herbalistmentor.com. So if you're just getting into herbalism and you bought my book and you have questions or, you need some extra advice, I have mentorship packages available on herbalistmentor.com. And you can choose from just, hey, I want 3 hours, to talk to you. And you could split those up, in hour increments. It doesn't have to be in one sitting. But then there's case reviews. So if you are maybe a clinical herbalist, or you're studying to be, I can look over your cases. You can sit in on one of mine. I also help anybody who's wanting to fill out an application as a registered herbalist.
Mhm.
And then I do have the Herbalist Mentor membership, which is free for anybody who wants to join. And there I've got 4 different PowerPoint presentations. One of them is that navigating the study of herbalism.
Mhm.
There's another one, I think, fatigue and insomnia. One that's called building your clientele. So I can't remember the 4th one right now, but yeah, I will be adding more to that down the line. And then anybody who did buy the book and they've done those exercises, or they want additional help in that, I'm going to be putting together some demonstration videos and adding those on there of all the exercises in the Herbalist Guide. So
fun. It sounds so exciting. So many things going on. I really love the point of the research factor. Like, as somebody who's also an educator, and I love to teach people about different plants, but like there is forever learning about these plants and so much research to dive into it. So that's a really, really important thing. And so many people today don't know how to research, and it's easy to get overwhelmed in the world of Dr. Google and really get spun down some
and TikTok.
And TikTok. Oh my gosh, yes.
Don't get me going on that.
We'll do that after the show.
That's actually the reason why I came up with those research guidelines, because I was hearing some scary misinformation that was quite dangerous.
Loads of it. I mean, that's exactly why I do what I do as well, why we do this, right?
Absolutely.
So that people do get safe and effective information.
And I do talk about energetics also in the book. So if you were confused why I was saying cooling and moistening, or about energetics, period, that's in the book. So I really give every information you need, all the information that you need to get started into herbalism.
I love it. It's so good. So where can people find your book?
Well, you can find it online. It is on Amazon. It's at Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. There's a lot of different places. Some libraries have it also, if finances are an issue or a problem for you too. So I just want the information in the hands of people that need it.
Yeah. And we all need it.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
And you can go to ancestralherbology.com or herbalistmentor.com. And I do have a link there for the book if you'd like that.
I love it. We'll definitely link to it in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And you and I connected on TikTok. I believe that's where we first initially connected. Mm-hmm. Where else can people follow you if they want to learn with you?
I'm on Instagram, and that one there is Ancestral Herbology. I'm on Facebook, and it's Mary Colvin, Clinical Herbalist.
Amazing. Mary, what other words of wisdom would you like to share with everybody listening to the show today? Thinking they're mamas.
Yeah. Even if this is your first year just beginning to get into herbalism, I want to speak to those beginners, and I want you to take it one step at a time. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know that we all did not learn this in a short amount of time. This is information that you're going to use the rest of your life, and there's no hurry. Just start with 5 different herbs right now would be a great way to do that. And definitely start with my book, The Herbalist Guide, because that's going to help guide you through the whole process.
Yeah, I love those pieces of wisdom. It's so exciting getting into the world of herbalism, right?
It is.
You see something work and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want all of the information right now. I definitely went through that phase, and I still find myself in that phase, but here I am 25, almost 25 years into like learning.
We're still learning. Yes. We're still learning. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're so right. It's like each little piece is another addition to your toolkit of knowledge and wisdom for life to carry with you.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Amazing, Mary. Thank you so much. And congratulations on getting this book out to the masses and doing incredible work for people and the plants and the planet. So grateful for you in what you do. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you, Mel. I'm very grateful for what you do as well. I think, there's more teachers that are needed in the world. And, thank you for what you do.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
You too. Bye.
I will.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Herbalist Path. Being on this journey with you is absolutely incredible. If you dig this episode, please leave me a review on your favorite podcast player and share it with your friends so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. On another note, I must mention that while I know you're getting some good info here, it's important to remember that this podcast is purely for entertainment and educational purposes and is not intended to be a substitute for medical treatment. While the information in this podcast is absolutely relevant, herbs work differently for each person and each condition. That's why I recommend you work with a qualified practitioner, whether that be another herbalist, a naturopath, or your doctor. So thank you again. I am truly honored that you're tuning into these episodes and on the path with me to make sure that there's an herbalist in every home again. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends so that we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. Hey, I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. Medicinal mushrooms are all the rage these days, if you didn't know already. And with great reason, because they are powerful medicine that can improve your health and your life in so many different ways when they're well made. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of stuff on the market that isn't going to be so effective. And that's why you need to find a brand that you can actually trust. For me, that brand is Whole Sun Wellness, and this is the creation of a brilliant woman and fellow mama, Jamie Bonfiglio. She's an international mushroom educator that has been working in the medicinal mushroom industry for years. And this is when she saw firsthand how many other companies take shortcuts when it comes to their products. And Jamie wasn't having it. She set out to build her company the right way. Whole Sun Wellness is here to raise the industry standards so those crap mushrooms on the market aren't getting into your body or your family's body. Whole Sun Wellness is the first company to test and report nutritional facts for all of their extracts. They go beyond industry standards every step of the way, from sourcing to extraction and final testing. And as the owners of the largest medicinal mushroom farm in the United States, Whole Sun Wellness is taking control of their supply chain for the highest quality and absolute full transparency. They're even the first company to include pure mycelium extract in every single product. So when you're thinking of getting medicinal mushrooms for you and your family, Whole Sun Wellness is exactly the ones you want. Also, be sure to check out their new Mycolites. These are the world's first dissolvable electrolyte tablets. They're featuring functional mushroom extracts that'll give you more energy, more stamina, and recovery as well. And who couldn't use all of that? The other thing is, they are these adorable little mushroom-shaped tablets, and they come in like a little Altoids box, but way cooler than Altoids because they're Mycolites. Anyways, head to wholesunwellness.com to grab yourself some Mycolites and all of the other functional medicinal mushrooms that you and your family need. And of course, you can grab that link right here in the show notes now.